Hello and welcome to Gospel Gleanings for this Thursday, March the 28th, 2024, Holy Thursday. My brothers and sisters, today we hear from the Gospel of John, chapter 13, verses 1 through 15. Before the feast of Passover, Jesus knew that his hour had come to pass from this world to the Father. He loved his own in the world, and he loved them to the end. The devil had already induced Judas, son of Simon the Iscariot, to hand him over. So during supper, fully aware that the Father had put everything into his power and that he had come from God and was returning to God, he rose from supper and took off his outer garments. He took a towel and tied it around his waist. Then he poured water into a basin and began to wash the disciples' feet and dry them with the towel around his waist. He came to Simon Peter, who said to him, "Master, are you going to wash my feet?" Jesus answered and said to him, "What I am doing you do not understand now, but you will understand later." Peter said to him, "You will never wash my feet." Jesus answered him, "Unless I wash you, you will have no inheritance with me." Simon Peter said to him, "Master, then not only my feet, but my hands and head as well." Jesus said to him, "Whoever has bathed has no need except to have his feet washed, for he is clean all over. So you are clean, but not all." For he knew who would betray him. For this reason he said, "Not all of you are clean." So when he had washed their feet and put his garments back on and reclined at table again, he said to them, "Do you realize what I have done for you? You call me teacher and master, and rightly so, for indeed I am. If I, therefore, the master and teacher, have washed your feet, you ought to wash one another's feet. I have given you a model to follow, so that as I have done for you, you should also do." My brothers and sisters, Christ has given us a model to wash one another's feet, to give to one another in faith, hope, and charity. And I think if we're honest with ourselves, I think we can struggle internally with giving of ourselves. There's this desire to reach out, desire to respond, but there's also this selfishness, this inherent selfishness within us, this desire to seek our own interests, this disfigurement of our intention. And I think sometimes we have the wrong motivation, the wrong desires to do good things. Sometimes we want the attention, we want the spotlight. Sometimes we try to do good because of perhaps a social status, or perhaps we are too focused on our appearances. But Jesus makes it clear that he is doing this loving act out of love. Love, intrinsically, is ordered to the other. It's willing the good of another. So when we act selfishly, we're willing the good of ourselves, the opposite of love. We become indifferent to the true message of Jesus' love. That means that even when we do good, when we strive to do good things, perhaps our initial intentions are good, but if our internal disposition is rotten, if we're just doing these things to draw attention to ourselves, if we're not doing them out of concern and love for the other, then they're meaningless. And I think sometimes we also can be like Simon Peter, right? We can try to control the situation. We can try to manipulate the situation. Peter asks, "You're going to wash my feet? Why not wash all of me?" Right? So he wants things his way. And sometimes in our fallen humanity, we too also want to twist what Jesus says to suit what we want and what we desire most. But ultimately, it's about what Jesus wants. It's about what Jesus desires. It's what he asks us to do. And he asks for our obedience. He asks for our yes in response. So when we're tempted to twist a situation for our own good, our own selfishness, right? May we be reoriented to the way of love. And the way of love is the way that Jesus himself has shown. Self-giving, lowering himself to wash feet. May we also wash the feet of those in our midst, meeting their needs and having the correct disposition in our hearts that is pleasing to God. And if we struggle with that disposition, with that right intention, may we have the grace to pray for that intention so that the Lord can purify us and direct us to love Him above all things. And through that love of God, may we also unconditionally love our neighbor. Thank you, and have a wonderful evening.